Welcome to the first episode of Hornbill TV's Prime Time with Ngullie, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Ngullie. This media space is saturated, but as you know it, news stories and events are not. The fast-changing world with its endless stories of both grief and celebration, stagnation and change every day has also created a challenge on the news information highway. With the growth of media technology and the creation of more and more media platforms, citizens are overdosing on mundane information. This is the challenge. People no longer are able to distinguish relevant news information from information that is both newsworthy and informative. That is where Hornbill TV's Prime Time with Ngullie comes in. Any news information is information, but not all information is newsworthy. Likewise, not every news event is relevant. The reason why our channel is launching this special primetime segment is to not only bring you the most important news events of the day, it is also to bring you news events that are both relevant and informative. More importantly, you and we will go deeper behind the scenes to explore what the news stories mean for you and society. This is not just a news bulletin, ladies and gentlemen. This is more of a space from which you will get to the nitty-gritty and the details besides expert analysis. In this program, we will be encapsulating some of the most important news to hit the stands. You will receive recaps, latest updates, and of course, analysis about significant hyperlocal, national, and international news events. So now that we are set, let's go over to the biggest news events of February 21, Tuesday. One of the biggest events of the ongoing electioneering to the Nagaland Legislative Assembly elections is the visit of Home Minister Amit Shah to Nagaland, more precisely to Mon and Trinsang, ladies and gentlemen. It is a sad time for Meghalaya. Tragedy has hit the United Democratic Party in Meghalaya in the middle of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly polls. One of the biggest events of the ongoing electioneering to the Nagaland Legislative Assembly elections is the visit of Home Minister Amit Shah to Nagaland, ladies and gentlemen, more precisely to Mon and Trinsang. Shah arrived in Nagaland on February 20, but that's besides the point. The bigger story here is he is likely to meet the community's leadership there. Why is this visit significant? Mon, although on the fringe of the map, is one of the community hubs of the eastern regions of the state, where the Eastern Nagaland Public Organization exerts considerable influence. During his January visit to Nagaland, there was optimism that the government of India would concede to the demands of the Eastern community leadership to create a separate state out of Nagaland. Of course, in the face of what is reported to be an arrangement for autonomous administration, the dialogue is on hold as of now. Then again, there is Trinsang, the heart of the ENPO, ladies and gentlemen. In Trinsang, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the government would work out a solution to the demand of the Eastern Nagaland communities after the assembly polls. He then urged voters to vote for the PJB and NDPP. Now, how will this work on behalf of the PJB? You have to think first, the assurance of unprecedented development input in the eastern region, ladies and gentlemen, in the background of the optimism that the PJB would concede to one of the most cherished and long-lasting demands of the regions. It is this: a separate state or an autonomous administration for the area. This optimism can be gauged by the assurances that the PJB has given to the community. Recently, the PJB released its manifesto for the Nagaland Legislative Assembly elections, promising a special package for the eastern region if the party returns to power for the second time in a row. Now, in his manifesto released by PJB President J.B. Nadda, The Saffron Party announced creating infrastructure, economic development, and they promised to boost the healthcare and agriculture sectors of the area, of course, besides promising skill development of the area and the people there. Another assurance that the PJB gave was, as reported, was to construct a trans-Nagaland highway to enable easy access across the district, especially from eastern Nagaland. Now, there is something to remember. The presence of a PJB leader in the stature of none other than Amit Shah, ladies and gentlemen, to campaign for a local PJB candidate in a remote district in Nagaland is not a small PR exercise by any measure for the Nagaland PJB's quest for positive electoral fortunes, at least for the region. The 6 districts of the region have at least 8 PJB candidates fighting practically everyone from the LJB to the Naga People's Front in a mosh pit of more than 180 candidates for a 60-seat Nagaland Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's take a look at this. There is a 20-40 seat sharing arrangement between the PJB and the Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party. Capitalizing on this agreement, Shah's visit and the promise of a solution to the ENPO's demand for an autonomous administration practically means that the PJB's chances of securing at least 70% of the region's PJB seats will ensure that the cutoff mark for the 20 seats is already half won for the party. What do you think? Or will that be the only thing that the PJB will want? Will it be the only way? On the other hand, the NPP has at least 12 candidates in the eastern regions. So 20 candidates of the alliance will be fighting a long list of NPF, LJB and independent candidates, not forgetting about 10 Congress candidates in the ring, and of course the JDU too. This is to ensure that the alliance wins at least 14 seats from the region. If at all, it will have a bigger bargaining power in the areas where the NPF is believed to be holding bigger vote shares, such as Kohima, Pek, and of course certain areas of Wokha and Moshong. Ladies and gentlemen, the strategy is not just to win the simple majority of 31 seats by a party. The idea is to win more than 40 to offset the challenge posed by the smaller parties such as the Congress, JDU, LJB, and of course the independents, if at all the small parties bite out even 3 seats from the table. Now, this is the reason. The reason is simple. Coalition governments are not formed by a few big parties, ladies and gentlemen. Coalitions are always formed by many small parties. Anyhow, the reception to Amit Shah's visit to Mon and Twinsang and the anticipation to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Nagaland might point to a greater optimism that perhaps the battle of the East has already been won for the PJB and the NPP at least. Now, the perceived assurance of an autonomous administration for the region and the promise of a greater development input into the eastern regions already seem to have given an impression that the likelihood of the PJB building a camp for 5 more years in the eastern region seem quite high. Amit Shah's visit is only to reinforce that optimism. It is as simple as that. Now, we'll check out the next news. We bring you another news source of sadness for people in Meghalaya. It is a sad time for Meghalaya at this time, viewers. Tragedy has hit the United Democratic Party in Meghalaya in the middle of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly polls. A senior leader of the party and former Home Minister HDR Lingdo passed away on Monday following what is being reported as a heart attack. Lingdo was a UDP candidate from the Soihong Assembly in East Khasi Hills. According to reports, he collapsed during an election meeting and was rushed to the hospital. The Election Commission has adjourned the polling in Soihong. I'm not sure if I got that right, but I think it's Soihong Assembly constituency in Meghalaya following the demise of the UDP candidate. Informing of this, Chief Electoral Officer F.R. Kharkonger said on Monday that a report recommending adjournment of the polls has been received from the district's election officer. There's a possibility that the unfortunate turn of events might hit the party hard. How is that so? The former Home Minister was one of the most senior political leaders in Meghalaya politics and had represented the UTB, an important space in the coalition politics of the state. Lingdo had represented the constituency for several terms. The former Meghalaya Home Minister, who lost last elections 2018 on a Congress ticket, was seeking re-election on the UDP ticket. He was the Home Minister in the Dr. Mukul Sangma-led Congress government. He first won as an MLA from Soy Hong in 1988 on a Hill State People's Democratic Party ticket. For those who might not know, the UDP is a veteran. The UDP leader is a veteran player. In 2008, the UDP formed the Meghalaya Progressive Alliance along with various other political parties, including the Nationalist Congress Party, Hill State People's Democratic Party, and the Bharatiya Janata Party. In 2018, the National People's Party came second behind the Indian National Congress by winning 19 seats to stake claim to form the government in Meghalaya with support from 34 MLAs. Now, they included 6 MLAs from the United Democratic Party. In February 2019, the UTB was one of the few parties that left the Northeast Democratic Alliance over the controversial Citizenship Amendment Bill. That is all for this episode for today, ladies and gentlemen. As I pointed out earlier, this is not just a news bulletin. This is also a space for details. Hornbill TV will be bringing you more stories, recaps, the latest updates, and analytical inputs about hyper-local, national, and international news events. Make sure to tune in to Hornbill TV every Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Thank you for watching. You are the best. I'm Ngullie. See you next time.